Hi, my name's Angela Fusco, and I'm a senior denim designer for Chloé, based here in Paris. I design all of the denim products and also rough wovens and anything with a wash for runway and commercial purposes. That can include anything from corduroy and canvas as well, so it's not just restricted to denim. Also in luxury, it can be a little bit more experimental and contemporary. So I've produced pieces that sort of come from the world of lingerie and corsetry, as well as outerwear, and of course traditional pieces like a five-pocket jean. In terms of my career path and my journey, I actually kind of fell into denim, so it wasn't really a planned career path for me. I originally started in swimwear and sportswear, so I began working with Speedo during my bachelor's degree, and I was a swimmer at the time competitively, so I was really interested in performance and science and engineering, and it was just a perfect way for me to combine all of those different things. Um, the way I got into denim was very accidental. So I entered a design competition with Levi's and Arts Thread back in 2016, and I did not think that I was going to win. It was very much like out of reach for me as far as I was concerned, but I wanted to try anyway, and I thought I would just give it my best shot. So I entered and I ended up winning, one of four winners who then went out to San Francisco. We did a 3-month internship with the inclusion of a final project at the end. And through that final project, I was given an offer for a permanent position, and I spent the next 5 years there. And I ended up falling in love with denim. It really appealed to my science and engineering interest, um, as well as sort of the complexity and the intricacies, and the high level of attention to detail that I really enjoy. I actually started out in women's wear, but went into menswear for a while. So that was a very big change for me at the time. But I really enjoyed menswear and did it for the next 8 years. I've only recently changed into women's wear. And I began doing women's wear as well as menswear about 3 years ago when I went into luxury. So I went into runway design for Balmain, and that's why I moved to Paris from San Francisco after 5 years. From there, I designed all kinds of crazy things in denim. It was an insane but really fun experience. I experienced a number of different runway shows. I created a number of different pieces for celebrities, including Lil Nas X, Beyonce, Ariana Grande, Kate Blanchett, even Michelle Obama has worn my jeans as well. So that's something I'm really proud of. And now I have started very recently at Chloé, which is an amazing company. I'm really excited to be there, especially with such a strong foundation in female empowerment and the inclusion of women. It's very much products designed by women for women. So that is something that really appeals to me, as well as their sustainable goals, and interest in innovation and technology to better forward our sustainable practices as well as our products in themselves. So that's great. In terms of design process, my process has changed drastically from brand to brand and even over the years. In High Street at Levi's, it was very much based on technical drawings and a lot of trend research, a lot of referencing into what was currently going on, current affairs, news, things like that. It was very much like sort of off the cuff, what was going on there and then. And we did have a theme, but it was maybe a little bit less conceptual. Of course, the designs were always much more safe, and not quite so flamboyant, I suppose. So going into runway was a huge change, but one that I really welcomed. And I was able to combine my more traditional knowledge of denim and washing and combine that with the creative aesthetic that I had even at university. And with those, I thought that that made for a really interesting perspective on denim. I was still very interested in authenticity and referencing vintage pieces, historical washes, and grounding everything in traditional denim wash, but applying that to more contemporary form and silhouette, trying to create something that has no place being vintage, that would never have existed, but making it at least appear as though that there's a possibility it could have existed at some point in the past. That was always my main goal. And I mean, with luxury, it was always very different. We were given a theme by the creative director, and it could be honestly anything. We had elements of Kurt Cobain, Marie Antoinette, grounding things in Parisian historic eras, Belle Epoque, etc., embroidery, everything. There was really no limits at Balmain. It was very much a creative freedom that I hadn't experienced for a long time. But with that, with the space to kind of fill up as I wanted, it was really interesting and something that I really enjoyed. And of course, now with Chloé, the aesthetic is very different. So I've definitely evolved over the years, and I feel I can adapt very well to different design aesthetics, and that's also what I enjoy. I would say that maybe the aesthetic at Chloé is a little bit closer to my personal style, which does make life a little bit easier. But also there's so much to consider, especially with the brand with such interesting history in feminism as well. I really want to do my best to create the perfect and the best future vintage for Chloé, something that will be treasured in the future by future generations. That's really the goal for me at this point as the senior denim designer. In terms of like how I actually create my work. My process has also changed quite a lot. I have gone from, yeah, doing technical drawings, like I said before, to illustrating on my iPad. I've never really been one for drawing by hand on paper. I get very sort of OCD about it, and with having ADHD, I really struggle to give myself that kind of like freedom and grace to just make mistakes. So I much prefer to do things on the iPad, and I've really found a rhythm for myself in terms of illustration. So I've done that for the past 3 years, but more recently at Chloé, it's very much based in vintage sourcing and wash sourcing, and we do a lot of styling, a lot of maquettes as well. So creating samples, creating things ourselves, sewing different samples and things to try and illustrate maybe different details and design elements that we want to put onto our garments. And then we produce pieces a little bit like a puzzle. So we'll have different elements, pockets, flaps, maybe different design details, and then we'll have our main base, and we'll kind of place things around and see what we like and what works for us. And then from there we will finalize the product in the end. So yeah.